Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Good. This is Ridley Pearson calling.
Ridley Pearson, I have waited a lifetime to talk with you, sir.
You are the great exaggerator of all time, Arrow. I found you.
The way that you bring stories together reminds me so much of when the musicians say songs evolve. Well, Ridley, you do the same thing with stories. Stories evolve, and you are such a master at that.
You're very kind. Thank you. And I was a musician I still am a musician, but I was a hardcore musician.
When it comes to writing, are you listening to music? Because, I mean, my past couple of books music was so important in the background.
Yeah. No, I often do sort of a soundtrack behind me. I like classical music or, sort of Hans Zimmer, because my stuff is generally sort of action related. But yes, I don't always, but quite often I have music playing and sort of setting a tone for the scene I'm writing.
Wow. The name of the book that we're talking about today is Kingdom Keeper's Inheritance, Villain's Realm. You like to kind of push that envelope a little bit, don't you? Take it to a level where, it's for YA readers, but, adults like this kind of stuff too.
It's really fun that adults like it so much. It's surprised me, but we've sold a couple million copies of the various Kingdom Keepers books, and Disney finally did a study on it, and they found that half the books are bought by adults for their own pleasure.
Yep.
So it's fun. I mean, we're mainly aimed at sort of 10, 11, 12, 13, that middle grade sweet spot. But I think because the books have so much backstage Disney information in them that Disney's allowed me to see and share, that the adults who really love Disney sort of can't resist the peek behind the curtain.
What is that like for you to work so close with Disney? Because, I mean, they've always been such a, we're going to protect our image and our storylines. We're going to keep it original.
Yeah, and they're still that way. And I still hit speed bumps with them, but they sort of invited me to do this. Through a real bizarre set of circumstances, it actually happened because I wrote a thank you note. But I wrote a thank you note because Disney treated me like a VIP at their parks years ago. And that eventually led to a phone call with Disney Books. And I pointed out to the editor I was speaking to that when you're on some of these theme parks, they just sort of want to make you nauseous.
Yeah.
But in Disney, each attraction, I could see a beginning, middle, and end to a story. And I told the editor this, and she said, "So, do you want to write for Disney?" I said, "Sure, what do you got?" And they had been looking to write a thriller inside their theme parks for young readers, but without violence, without weapons, in the most magical place on earth. So something that was kind and gentle, but really thrilling. And that's a challenge. So I submitted 5 different outlines to them.
Wow. And
finally, in one, I turned the kids into hologram guides in the future. And once the kids were holograms and nothing could happen to a hologram, the attorney said, "Great, go with that." And now we're 12 books in.
Wow. See, that's one of those things where you relied so much on stream thinking. You trusted your creative process, and then you set it free, and people bit.
I did, and I got turned down 4 times before that. I had some good ideas, but they said, "No way, brother, you're not doing that one." Yeah, so I mean, and part of my process is when I speak at middle schools, I talk about not only beginning, middle, and end, but observe and write and edit.
Yes.
And I need to observe. So for my crime novels that I write for adults, I talk to the police, I talk to forensics, I talk to medical examiners, I talk to criminal psychiatrists. And for this series of books, I said to Disney, the problem here is I need to be inside your parks after hours when no one's there.
Oh, man.
And they said, as if, we just do not allow that. And I said, well, that's when the kids are going to be there. The kids are going to be there at, 3 a.m. as these holograms trying to fight Disney villains. How can I do this if I don't do that? So a month later, they agreed. And I still carry a VIP pass that gets me into their parks around the world for free. And if I call ahead, they give me a Disney Imagineer, and I go inside their attractions at like 4 in the morning. And it's so spooky.
I couldn't
just write about it, you know.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, I've been to a Renaissance festival way late at night, and walking through there, because in the daytime, you know, it's all vibrant with music and fun.
Yeah.
Oh, but not at night.
Well, there's axes falling on your neck during that hour.
Well, what did you learn as being that student of being, you know, being there at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning? Because you didn't go into this thing as an adult.
Yeah, I mean, when you go in there at 4 in the morning and you walk, it takes about an hour to walk the attraction and have them tell you how they pull off the magic and the illusions.
Wow.
And then they turn them on. But for instance, when I went into It's a Small World on my very first of these 30 trips, they let me into Small World, and we walked it for about an hour, hour and a quarter. And then they brought in a crew at 5 in the morning to turn it on for me so I could ride it. And I asked them, could I ride it with the lights off, the music off, and the dolls turned off? And Small World, for those that don't know, it has this song that goes, once you hear the song, you can't forget it for 3 weeks.
Yep.
And it has these crazy dolls dancing around to that song and singing in all these languages. It's really a wonderful ride. But when the dolls are turned off, it's spooky. And I got about 2 or 3 scenes into that ride, and 2 of those dolls that were turned off, they stepped forward.
Oh.
And I just jumped off my seat in the boat. And this, you know, adult I was being toured by said, "What's wrong with you?" 2 of the dolls moved. And I said, "Ridley, you're an adult. 2 of the dolls did not move. I am going to go to my grave telling you 2 of those dolls moved." And I wrote down a note that said, "Small World, 2 of the dolls moved, scared me to death."
Yep.
And then I just wrote a chapter about that, you know. So I mean, really, you just have to observe, and it's all right there for you.
In this new book, I love Cinderella's godmother. And first of all, where were you at mentally and physically when you came up with Notorious IMG? What an original idea.
No, it was just to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, you know.
Yeah.
I could see that Fairy Godmother was going to be the Notorious FGM, and you know, because she's so legendary, but we don't see her very often. And I met the Fairy Godmother in an undisclosed location inside Cinderella's castle. And it was like the coolest thing that ever happened to me. It was completely by mistake, and it probably shouldn't have happened, but there I was speaking with her. And I just, in voicing this character for Inheritance Villains Realm, I just had so much fun. You when you write, you don't know where, you know, so much is unexpected. And in this case, she was going to be in the book for about 2 pages, and I just fell in love with this gal. She talks in her itty bitty biddity boop stuff. She's got her little blue hair. She wants her cup of tea. She's very proper and so sweet, and I loved writing her. So now she's fully in all 3 books in Inheritance.
Do you think that your books will change the park in a way to where they kind of create like a little dark area, you know, and you know, to kind of inspire kids that it's like, oh my God, it's just like the book?
I would love it. They do. I have heard, and they've said this for years now, but I have heard that at some point they may dedicate an attraction just to the villains.
Yes.
And that's kind of the premise of Inheritance and the Villains Realm book. All the books stand alone, but this is the second book, Villains Realm. And it's about the fact that the villains' realms built in the parks were a wonderful idea until all the villains ended up in them and started turning the parks really creepy and dark. So the kids have to stop that.
I read a story recently about one of the reasons why Disney likes the villains is because viewers and readers like the villains. They see a little bit of themselves, but at the same time, they like that spookiness about them. And the way they look is so important. Like Ursula right here on this front cover.
Yeah. I don't doubt that. I think, you know, in all literature, I mean, take Silence of the Lambs or something, you know, in literature, the dark characters are somehow more interesting.
Yep.
because they're conflicted. You feel somewhat sympathetic sometimes for them, and then you don't like yourself because the person is a murderer.
Yep.
How can you feel sympathetic for a murderer? But dark characters and antagonists are really tricky to write, and if you get them right, they seem to have more depth and more resonance with the readers than the best of heroes. Go figure.
Where can people go to find out more about you, your writing, and everything else, especially your music?
If they go to find out about my music era, they'll give up on me. No, I mean, I'm on social media as Ridley Pearson, RIDLEYPEARSON. And we have a website, ridleypearson.com, where you can see all 63 of my books.
Wow.
And bookstores should have this. I do have sort of a special treat for your listeners, which is there's a bookstore called Left Bank Books in St. Louis, Missouri. And if you call or email Left Bank Books, I will not only autograph a book, you can get autographed books, but I will personalize it for you or your child or whoever for the next week or two. So Left Bank Books in St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, my God. Dude, you've got to come back to this show anytime in the future. I love where your heart is, and I love where your imagination is always growing.
I love your questions. Thanks for this. You're awesome, man.
Well,
Thank you.
You be brilliant today, okay?
Okay, you too.